Okay, so then I think I'll just open up the to the audience. If you have any questions or comments for the next 5 minutes for our panelists, either in the chat or you can use the raise your hand feature.
I think there was a comment. There was a comment that Mark mentioned. It was, "Are we doomed?"
Yeah, I suppose we didn't answer that question, did we?
I wanted to just give Mark a little bit of a security blanket before we go. Do you mind? I mean, Mark, I hear you. I absolutely hear you, and I feel your pain. And I want to reassure you. You know, if you're here today, I don't think you're doomed. Okay. Welcome to Noah's Ark. And well, that's a bit extreme, but I was thinking about this, and I anticipated somebody asking this question. And thank you very much, Mark, for asking that, because I ask it every single day. I do. On my way home from work, I do. I ask, are we doomed? Now, humanity, no, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go there. That's a different webinar. That's a different webinar. I'm not equipped to talk about that. But there are some really fascinating videos and podcasts on the subject. So you can go off and geek out on whether or not humanity is doomed. However, we as educators, here's what I would advise. I would advise that you clearly look at right now, you sit down and you look at your key performance indicators as an educator. This is KPI is a very business term. I sometimes get my wrist slaps for using, business terms in my sector, but seriously, I think it's time that I know, thank you, Mark. I think it's time that we start to look at our added value as educators. And one of those ways to do that in very concrete terms is to list our key performance indicators as educators. What are we actually truly doing in the classroom? What are we, what progress are we actually contributing to? And if you're not sure about what your key performance indicator is, I'm going to say it. Ask ChatGPT. You'd be very surprised. Some really, 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 really good ideas actually do come up. If you say, I'm an English teacher, and I'm an educator, or I teach business, or I teach whatever domain you're in. Ask ChatGPT, what are some key performance indicators for me as a teacher? Some really great stuff comes up. I actually do this with my students now. I say, what are your key performance indicators as a student? And that really helps them when they're applying for institutions, other institutions, dual degree programs, as well as jobs. And it really opens their eyes to their added value. And I think that departments need to do the same. This is really hard. This is a tough sell, guys. I'm going to hard sell this, but I'm not telling the people who are in departments now, please don't, create committees and then subcommittees and then subcommittees just because of what I'm about to say. But you as a department really need to sit down and start thinking about your key performance indicators as well, because this is not going away.
Great. Okay. Sam, did you have any quick contributions, and then I'm going to wrap it up?
No, I think Bethany's ended everything on a perfect note, so I'll just give her a little hand for that.
Okay, great. So I see there are a couple of questions coming in at the very end here. So we have, how can students and researchers use Gen AI ethically? Is proofreading by AI considered as cheating? And then we have Aurélie, who says, what is foreseeable with these technologies affecting intellectual professions? Is that the added value of engineers? The rethinking of all that, if nothing is changed in their training. So lots of good questions, huh? What do we think here?
I think it also goes back to the what kind of student do we want our students to be, you know? And I think Bethany touched on that as well. But yeah, let's
Yeah, so I can maybe jump on the second question there. Just, you know, the fact is that if we try to preserve antiquated metrics for evaluating performance and quality, we're going to have problems, right? The fact is that things do have to change, and the skill sets that are valued will have to change, and the training will have to change, right? The fact is, if you look realistically, you know, truck drivers will not exist in X number of years. I don't know the number, but you know, this assumption that human beings will be driving cargo around the world in 20, 30 years is really not realistic, right? You know, this is something that will be automated. So knowing that these sort of things will change also in our domain about how we write, how we evaluate things and so on, means that we have to look forward and think about what we do need to prepare for and how we need to prepare students for those changes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so just to sum up some of the things that we've talked about today in terms of generative AI and writer autonomy, I think that what we've touched upon is the fact that it does increase efficacy and efficiency. It is time saving. That's why people are using it. We can talk the extreme term of laziness was used, but people are using it to help them check their grammar for language suggestions. If you don't like the way you've formulated a sentence, you could say, could you improve upon this sentence in formatting, as I mentioned. It also is helpful with idea generation, as Bethany just mentioned. You know, if you're at a loss, if you're staring at a blank piece of paper, you know, having a nice prompt is going to help you get started, because sometimes that's the biggest hurdle, is just trying to figure out how you're going to get started. And then, of course, just the improve accuracy with the grammar, the spelling, and those syntax, those superficial things, you know, the spelling and syntax, that'll help you improve. But we have to think about, we have to take into consideration some of the things we've talked about today. So bias and fairness. If AI models are trained on biased data sets, they may perpetuate or amplify existing biases in writing and potentially leading to content that reflects and reinforces those societal biases. We can talk about initial learning curves as well. So some people, it's going to take them a while to adapt to these AI tools. And as educators, maybe we need to think about how we're helping students to adapt to what's to come. We can talk about quality, or we've talked a little bit about quality concern, in that not a whole lot, but that while there's an increase in accuracy in terms of finding that perfect paper to support your claim, the AI isn't necessarily going to align with the intent that you want, you know, so we have to be careful with how we're using that. So a lot of maybe teaching for the future, teaching our students to have judgment about these kinds of things, to have, you know, a good idea of what they need from the tool. So I think that's the big takeaway message today, is that knowing what you need from the tool, knowing what the tool's purpose is. One of the great comments, I think, by Laurent is that sometimes people use it for something it wasn't intended to be used for, right? We do that all the time in history, throughout the history of humanity. So the big takeaway is know what you need from the tool and know what the tool is capable of. And in that way, I think we can speak to the ethical use of generative AI in the writing domain at the scientific and academic levels. Right. So thank you, Sam, and thank you, Bethany, for agreeing to participate. We loved it that you were here, and all of the wonderful things that you contributed. So thank you so much. And thank you to Divya and Alexandra for manning the behind the scenes, the chat and the Miro board. It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all three of you. It was really great fun. And just on a little bit of housekeeping before we wrap up. The Miro board will be locked subsequently to avoid people being able to move things around, etc. So if you have any final comments to add, please don't hesitate to add them now. In the course of the afternoon, we'll lock the board and it'll continue to be available to you. Bethany asked the question of when will we see each other next? Absolutely, in a few months. I think this is a conversation that we need to keep having, you know. And thank you so much to colleagues who who came from Ponts-et-Chaussées and Effray and all these other institutions from far away. We're really grateful to have so much engagement from the community. And, you know, it's leveled the playing field for a lot of things, you know, this change. It's really changed the way, it's really changed what the community is and what we're doing. And, you know, these sort of boundaries of your school, my school, etc., are suddenly being blurred very quickly. So yes, special thank you to the Elevate Centre for our first collaboration together, first of a great many to come. And we will see you all very soon. So just a little plug on our next webinar, which will be on the 28th of February on English as a medium of instruction, stories and strategies for intercultural classrooms. So we will send out information on our mailing list, and if you signed up today, you will automatically be added to the mailing list, so you will get information on all our subsequent offerings. So yes, with that, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you for being a part of ours.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.